Hello, welcome back to our course on web design. And in today's class, we'll be talking about web development terms. This particular section is going to be a bit long, so I'll have to cut it down into different videos. So it won't be a one single long video. No, I have to cut it down so that it wouldn't bore you out. If you are going to get into any uh, career or any section of life or profession, should be able to know their jargons. All right. So uh, the the first thing that we are going to do in this point at this point before we proceed any further in the course of this study is to get ourselves acquainted to the terms that we have in web development. All right. So the first term that we'll be talking about here is API. Now, API stands for Application Program Interface. All right. So these are interfaces or uh, uh, applications, actually, so to say, that helps our computers to uh, uh, interact with each other. All right. So when we build programs and host them on servers, or we have them in our computers, we want to be able to use some programs to be able to connect our computers and such applications either online or offline to work in line. All right. So we use APIs to do such. All right. So take for instance, you have a standalone application that users get to download and install on their systems, right? And you want to save their data on the cloud, all right? So in order for them to be able to access the contents in the cloud and work with whatever you have in the cloud, they need there should be an application program interface, an API that should connect your application, the application on the computer, and the application you have sitting on your server. All right. So the second thing on the list there is bandwidth. Now, when we talk about bandwidth, we are talking about the amount of data that can be transferred over a connection or a network at a given time. All right. So that's why most times you see some sites are being attacked and they go out of network or they go offline, because what most of these attackers do is that they feed these websites or these servers with more data than they can handle at a given time. So let's say you have a space, you bought a space from an IPS, that's internet, ISP, sorry, from an internet service provider, and maybe the space you bought is, let's say, 2 gig. All right. And that 2 gig is the maximum the maximum amount of data the system can process in a particular day. All right, so to say. So what it means is that if an attacker wants to take you offline, he will feed you with more data than the server can handle. All right. So once he does that, the contents on your server will no longer be accessible, because your server will find it hard to process such amount of data. All right. So the bandwidth is just talking about is more of the number of data that a particular network or a particular connection can handle, all right, at a given time. Now, a breakpoint or media queries, we talked about this in our previous class when we talk about responsiveness, all right? So it's basically the points in your website where the design actually changes to accommodate the screen size, all right? So when someone is viewing your contents on the system, on a browser, if the person decides to adjust the size of the web browser, you see the website shrinking and changing design and shape in order to fit to the screen size. All right. The same thing when you view it on a smaller device also. So at that point where the original design that is seen changes, at that point where it changes is the point we call the breakpoint. All right. So for instance, a designer might write code the website to change display when it gets to a width, when it's being viewed on a system that has a width of, let's say, 630 pixels and above. All right. So that's 630 pixels and above that the developer or designer has stipulated for the design to have a change of view is what we call a breakpoint. All right. Now the next one is a browser. Now a browser is a software that we use to display our websites on the internet, either online or offline. All right. So you basically use your browser to display your website. So that's basically where your website can run. That's the software that has the capability to interpret what you have as a website. All right. So an example of such is you have Chrome, we have Firefox, we have Safari, we have Navigator, we have Internet, we have Microsoft Edge. Yeah, there was Internet Explorer until the support for it was stopped. So we have so many other browsers like the Brave, the Opera Mini, and so on and so forth. All right. So you use them to display your websites. Uh, Now a bug is an error. All right. We've talked about error while we are talking about HTML. Right. Now a bug is an error. That's just the simple term. It is an error. All right. And what does an error do? It prevents your program from terminating with the desired output. So when you have an error in your program will fail to give you the desired output. And when such a thing occurs, we say that you have a bug on your website or in your website. All right. The next thing there is a cache. All right. Or some people call it cache. So a cache memory is a temporary data storage. So it helps us it helps our site to load faster. All right. So what it does is it it kind of captures the information that we are frequently using on our website. So when you visit a website, it captures important information about that website and stores it on your computer, so that the next time you get to visit that website, it doesn't have to fetch those data again. All right. So it will load them faster from your computer and not have to fetch them from the server. All right. So that's what the cache memory does. So it helps in faster or it speeds up the process of loading your website by capturing important information and storing them and helping you with such information the next time you visit a website. All right. Now CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. All right. Now this is like a system of computers. Now they have files or libraries, scripts, what have you, on these websites, and other contents, or some might have pictures and the rest, icons. So basically this network helps us to access these resources, all right, faster than we could have when we even have them in our devices or system or on our own server, right? So they provide faster accessibility to these contents for us, so we can easily use these contents on our own websites. All right. So take for instance, you have your jQuery, you have things like Font Awesome, and so on and so forth. Right. So when you have these contents on your system, they are not as fast as when you have them on a content delivery network. All right, because it's not just one system that is serving you. There are so many systems. So it looks for the system that is closer to your location and lets the system serve you, sorry, with the scripts or the content that you are trying to access. All right. Now CMS stands for Content Management System. So it's basically a software system that we use to manage contents of a website, right? So take for instance WordPress, right? So you can go to WordPress without having any knowledge of coding. You can create a website, manage a website very well. You can also create your own content management system where you get to post things dynamically. You get to post contents uh, uh, of your website to your users and have these contents displayed to them dynamically, right? Without having to recode the pages, right? So you just create such software that helps you input text, and this text can be accessed as being in a separate page when they are actually not in a separate page. All right. So basically, it just helps us to manage contents of our website. Now, another word you will come across at the course of your time in web design is crawl. Like this is basically the process whereby your search engine gathers information from your website. Okay. So, and it does it with the help of what we call a bot. So a bot is more like a simple program that serves a specific purpose. All right. So the search engine goes through your the code in your website and try to pick up one or two information, and this is what actually helps in search. All right. when you open a web browser and you search for a particular word, the search engine just a kind of cross through the internet, all right, cross through the web to actually gather information that relates to what you are searching for, all right. Now, a code on this one is just a piece or a group of statements, right? So whenever you write any instruction to your computer using any particular programming language, what you've written is regarded as a code, all right. So anytime you hear of the word a code, your mind should go that what we are talking about is a piece of program or statement written with a programming language. All right. So we'll stop here today in this class. In our next class, we'll continue from where we stopped on web development terms.